There are 3 ways to pronounce ED at the end of English words. If you want to know what they are, stick around. This is Celta English.
And while we're here, hit the subscribe button so you keep up to date with all the latest English learning videos.
Let's read some more of The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle, starring Sherlock Holmes. You ready? Let's read. So much so, I remarked, that of the last 6 cases which I have added to my notes, 3 have been entirely free of any legal crime. Precisely. You allude to my attempt to recover the Irene Adler papers, to the singular case of Miss Mary Sutherland, and to the adventure of the man with the twisted lip. Well, I have no doubt about this small matter will fall into the same innocent category. You know Peterson, the commissionaire? Yes. It is to him that this trophy belongs. It is his hat. No, he found it. Its owner is unknown. I beg that you will look upon it not as a battered billycock, but as an intellectual problem. And first, as to how it came here. It arrived on Christmas morning in company with a good fat goose, which is, I have no doubt, roasting at this moment in front of Peterson's fire. The facts are these. About 4 o'clock on Christmas morning, Peterson, who, as you know, is a very honest fellow, was returning from some small jollification and was making his way homeward down Tottenham Court Road. In front of him he saw, in the gaslight, a tallish man walking with a slight stagger and carrying a white goose slung over his shoulder. As he reached the corner of Good Street, a row broke out between this stranger and a little knot of roughs. One of the latter knocked off the man's hat, on which he raised his stick to defend himself and, swinging it over his head, smashed the shop window behind him. Peterson had rushed forward to protect the stranger from his assailants, but the man, shocked at having broken the window and seeing an official-looking person in uniform rushing towards him, dropped his goose, took to his heels and vanished amid the labyrinth of small streets which lie at the back of Tottenham Court Road. The roughs had also fled at the appearance of Peterson, so he was left in possession of the field of battle, and also of the spoils of victory in the shape of this battered hat and a most unimpeachable Christmas goose, which surely he restored to the owner. My dear fellow, there lies the problem. It is true that for Mrs. Henry Baker was printed upon the small card which was tied to the bird's left leg, and it is also true that the initials H.B. are legible upon the lining of this hat. But as there are some thousands of Bakers and some hundreds of Henry Bakers in this city of ours, it is not easy to restore lost property to any one of them. What then did Peterson do? He brought round both hat and goose to me on Christmas morning, knowing that even the smallest problems are of interest to me. The goose we retained until this morning, when there were signs that, in spite of the slight frost, it will be well that it should be eaten without unnecessary delay. Its finder has carried it off, therefore, to fulfill the ultimate destiny of the goose, while I continue to retain the hat of the unknown gentleman who lost his Christmas dinner. So there's some more of the story of the adventure of the Blue Carbuncle. Now we're going to go through some of the vocabulary that we saw that may be unfamiliar to you, and then we'll look at the ED at the end of words. That's either the simple past or the past participle. Okay, so first of all, the vocabulary. The first word I think you'll need to find is commissionaire, and it's defined this way: a uniformed doorman at a hotel, theatre, or other establishment. commissionaire. It's the doorman, basically. So the commissionaire was stood at the entrance to the hotel, all dressed smartly and officially. Commissionaire, good. Okay, the next word that I thought I didn't know, I had to look it up, and so maybe you didn't know it either. Billycock. Sounds rather an unusual phrase, doesn't it? Well, it says in the definition, any of several round-crowned brimmed hats of felt, such as the bowler hat, style of hat. So it's a hat. It's a particular kind of hat that may have been worn frequently in those times. Billycock. Next word, jollification. Now, it could be a clue there with the first two syllables, jolly. So having a nice time. Jollification, an enjoyable activity or celebration. Boisterous or noisy. So it was a bit of a wild party, perhaps. And he was there having a good time. The next word I've noticed is tallish. Tallish. So you can be tall or not tall. But tallish is kind of a bit tall, but not that much. Tallish. So this is a tallish gentleman. So quite tall, rather tall, or other ways of saying it. Other ways of saying tallish. And so the definition says not very tall, but more than the average. So I would say I am tallish. I'm not really tall. I'm not short. I'm just perhaps slightly above average. Or maybe not. Slight. So he had a slight stagger, which means he had a slight, so a small amount or a little, a stagger. What does stagger mean? Well, it's to walk or move unsteadily, as if to fall about. So he was kind of wobbling around as he walked. He had a slight stagger. It talks about the goose being slung over his shoulder. So slung, just as I did it then. There's a bit of a clue for you. Casually throw. Now, he had his goose slung over his shoulder, casually. It could be a throw like that, a casual throw, not really trying too hard, but throwing it all the same. Next word, roughs. Roughs. People who look a bit rough, look a bit dodgy, look a bit, not criminals, but kind of a bit criminally. People who are going to cause a bit of a problem. Vandals or bullies. So a rough is a disreputable or not respectable and violent person. Aggressive. So if you walk past someone who's aggressive, they may shout at you, they may push you a bit to try and wind you up. Of course, I'm using a lot more vocabulary, but you'll have to look up those words in the dictionary later on. And it said it was a knot of roughs. So it's like, it says the definition, a small, tightly packed group of people. So these guys are all huddled together, huddle, and it says a little knot of roughs. So it's a small group of violent, aggressive, bad people. So a little knot of roughs. Now another word here, related to the little knot of roughs, is assailants. Assailants. These are people who physically attack someone. So they are the ones who do the attack. Assailants. Yeah, so these guys were assailants. So they actually attacked someone. This tall man with a slight stagger. Tallish, sorry. Okay, now, unimpeachable. Unimpeachable. The goose was unimpeachable. So really, that kind of means really good. Excellent quality. Not to be doubted or questioned is the official definition of unimpeachable. Okay, good. Last word, and it's ironic that this is the last word because it's ultimate. Ultimate. Now that means final or end. Could be the best of something. This is the ultimate phone, the latest, the best. Nothing's going to go beyond. This is the end, the top, the ultimate. There are a few words for you to practice, to just think about, and to maybe try to form sentences using these words. Try not to Google it, but if you need to, have a go, and then rewrite a sentence in your own words. Okay? Excellent. Now let's look at this important point of how to pronounce words that end in ED. Did you notice a few of the words through the text that ended in ED? We're going to look at some of them. We'll come back. We'll go through the words that are in the text, but just to give you the technical side of things. So here we go. The first, when it sounds id. Id. A word, for example, needed. Regular verbs that end in D are pronounced id, the ed at the end. So needed, twist, ends in T, twisted. So we can put those two together by saying any regular verb that ends in D or T, you should pronounce id at the end of the word. Remember the two examples I gave? Needed, twisted, want, wanted, end, ended. So there's some examples for you. We'll see if there's any more in the text so we can practice how you pronounce those. The second way we can pronounce ed at the end of words is d. D. So if it ends with a vowel sound, remember sound, not necessarily a vowel sound, a diphthong where it's two vowel sounds together, a diphthong, or a voiced consonant. Now, we can explain that in another video in more depth, but just to tell you which ones they are, the voiced consonants, that's L, N, R, B, G, M, Z, British English, Z, S, and V. So, for example, we can say the word ending in these, dream. Remember, it sounds like a D at the end, a D sound. So, dreamed. Dreamed. Another one, let's say grab. Grab ends in B, so we say grabbed. D. D. Can you say that sound? D. Grabbed. Can you think of any other words that end in L, N, R, B, G, M, Z, S, or V, and it is a regular verb, or it has a vowel sound or a diphthong? We pronounce those verbs D at the end. Okay? D. So we've had id, D, and now the last one, regular verbs that end in the following letters, we pronounce T. T. So words that end in P, K, F, GH, SH, CH, SS, double S, C, and X. Let's think of some examples here. A word ending in P, to ship or to send, shipped, shipped. Another one, how about X? Fix becomes fixed. Fixed. You see that t sound? Can you think of another word? Hiss. Hiss, like what a serpent does, a snake. Hiss. Hissed. Hissed. So there's some examples for you. And remember, those are unvoiced consonants. P, K, F, G, H, S, H, C, H, S, S, C, and X. So try to write down some regular verbs that end in those letters, and they are pronounced t. So from the text, if we start at the top and work down, we have the following verbs. Remarked. So you see it ends in K, so it's a T sound, remarked. Add. Do you remember what that sounds like? Add? Well, if it ends in D or T, it has an id sound added to it. So add becomes added. Added. Let's look for another one. Twist. So twist is the verb, the regular verb, past tense, ends in T, twisted. Twisted. So we've had 3. The next one ends in R. So think about this. The word is batter. Batter. So it ends in R. That's the second one. It ends in a D sound. Battered. Battered. The next verb in the text, regular verb, ends in CH. Reach. How does that end? If it ends in CH, do you remember? It's a T sound. Reach becomes reached. Reached. Next word is a similar sound, or the same sound. Knock becomes knocked. Knocked. You've got that? Knocked. The following, smash. When we smash the window, smash ends in SH and it sounds like a T. Smashed. Smashed. Next, rush. Remember, rushed, because it ends in SH. Rushed. Shock. Shock. Ooh. Shock ends in K, and that is also a T sound. Shocked. Shocked. That's the next verb in the text. Drop. Regular verb ends in P, which is an unvoiced consonant, ends in T. T sound. Dropped. Dropped. We have an SH. Vanish. Vanish. Becomes vanished. Print. Remember, which is print? Which sound is print? It's the first one. It's D or T, and we say this, id. So print becomes printed. Printed. Next word, tie. You notice that tie ends in IE. Tie. I. So that's a diphthong. Remember which diphthongs, which sounds they produce? A D sound, the D, the D. So tie becomes tied. Tied. The following one ends in N, retain. Retain is a vowel, a voiced consonant. N, retain, retained, the D sound in that regular verb. Carry, carry. This is slightly, the spelling changes slightly, but it still follows along with the D sound. So carry becomes carried, carried. Ends in a vowel, or a diphthong. So there we have a few of the verbs, regular verbs in past tense, simple past, or as past participles, and the sounds that they make. So we've gone through some vocabulary, the sounding of words ending in ed, those pronunciation rules, and that's it. Excellent work, everyone. If you're not sure about this, watch the second part again, the ed part. It's really helpful, and it makes you sound like a pro, like an experienced native speaker. Well, experienced speaker or native speaker if you do really well. Well, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up so we know you like the video and we'll make more. And subscribe if you're not to our channel so that we can keep up to date with all the latest videos from Celta English. So thanks for watching. Tune in next time. Bye.